Hello there, and welcome to episode 1 of my new tutorial series for Necesse. In this, I will do a let's play type of gameplay where I explain my whole decision making, how things work, the relations to one mechanic to another, key bindings, all the little things. This is not going to be a concise summary of things, so if you prefer shorter videos, you might look for other videos of mine, because I do these as well. Every episode here will have roughly 30 minutes playtime, one big major topic that I will play through in that episode, and several side topics that always emerge out of the relationships to that. My goal is to give you a complete as possible picture of the game to allow you to play the game you want to, how you want to play it, you know. My goal is not to give you a cookie cutter solution to these. If problem A emerges, use solution B. I want to give you the option to play the game like you want it to, because this is a pretty cool sandbox game in the making. That being said, in the making, this game is by no means complete. And while I'm recording this, there's constantly new stuff being added, so I think this series will be one day outdated. Feel free to tell me in the comment section, and also feel free to tell me if you want to see certain topics covered, be it in this series or as a standalone video. I gladly do what I can. Alright, enough of the yip yap. Let's go and start playing, shall we? So, I did leave all the settings as they are, except for one thing. I went into the interface settings and made that a little bit larger, because in my resolution it was horrible. The standard size was really bad for me, because I had to squint my eyes to see the menus properly. Much more fun like that. So we go into the new world thingy. You have to go for the optics. Really no changes except for optics, character name, save file name. So I'm going to call that YouTube tutorial because, you know, I'm a very creative man, and let's go. So the settings here can be changed on the get-go. The only thing you cannot change is the spawn seed, obviously, in case you want to play along. This is the spawn seed. And these settings here, you can change them along the way, if I remember correctly. You can even change everything. So I'm going to leave everything on standard settings, but I want to showcase here. If you feel like death penalty should be harsher or less harsh, there's a lot of cool mechanics, even hardcore. And let's get started with a standard world with standard settings, shall we? So all these things down here, you could do a lot of small things like making the nights and days longer. It's small but powerful tools. We're not going to touch them either way today. So let's create the world and get started. So when you're getting started, I don't need those tutorials. I'm making one on my own. And you have a wooden axe and a wooden sword. You control your character with WASD. Left mouse activates the highlighted item here. Can change the items with a mouse wheel. If you come from games like Stardew Valley and all these, you will find this absolutely intuitive in no time. Inventory goes up with the letter E, and it's ore crafting and inventory in general. We start here at this little spot. There's a patch of sunflowers here. That's a house. This is our campfire. Here we have a bed and chest. First thing we're gonna do, that's also going to be the first quest that the old man outside will give us. We take out that settlement flag and a bit of bread so we can have something to eat. So let's get on over here. Necesse is a sandbox game, so that means we have to create the fun that we have on our own. So building stuff, building a settlement and all that is in the game. It feels like a mix-up between Terraria, it was top-down, some kind of RimWorld splash-ins, and Minecraft vibes. Necesse is a really, really cool standalone product with really cool ideas. So right-clicking the Elder, this is our main quest giver, and we're looking for a quest. You better place a settlement flag. Yeah, we do that. So settlement flag placement, left-click it and place it down wherever I want to. Declares this is my base. Let's call it forced settlement, because I'm a very creative man. And as you see here, I can assign a lot of different things here. Today we're not going to go deeper to that, but this is basically the place where you manage your settlement, where you manage the NPCs that work for you and all those things. So step 1 done. Let's get on over to the Elder. He's happy that I did that, and he wants to have fake fangs from vampires. The first quest he gives is always a fetch quest. Is not too important, and the next quest after that is going to be a boss hunt quest, which is going to give us actually progress. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop down some of those trees because, you know, we need those. Because the first thing I do require are torches. No fun without torches. And then, well, it's a bit up to you how you want to proceed with the game. You could either start your progression on the surface world, or you could go down here, that staircase, and have fun with monster slaying. We're going to do a little bit of both. So here we are at a workbench. The first thing that I'm going to create myself is a wooden pickaxe. It's created out of those logs that we just chopped. Also here, that crafting guide of you have in there, it's a nice company along the road. So I'm going to shift left click these guys to put them into the inventory. I want to keep my hotbar here clean because, you know, stuff that belongs in here should be more important. We could now craft other things, but for starters, we're going to leave it with some more torches. Those torches, by the way, you wouldn't even need to go to a workbench for that. You can always craft them out of your inventory. These items here are always craftable out of your inventory. Torches go here, and the last thing I create is a wooden boat, because I love to have a wooden boat at the beginning. It can be equipped down here in the mount slot, which is hotkeyed on F. So whenever I enter water now, I just press F, and I can skittle along with my little boat. That's important because in Necesse, the whole world is segmented into islands, where if we want to enter a new chunk of the map, we actually have to pick up a boat and leave the map at one of those water borders. Alright, so since we have a pickaxe now, we can chop down those little stones here. This gives us access to stone, as the name implies. Ha! Brilliant, isn't it? So with stone, we can now do two things. First off, we can build with that. Basically, you can, by the way, build with everything here. As you see here, the workstation can transform the stone into fence, into wall, into doors, and floors. We're going to talk about building in another episode. I don't want to do too much building in episode 1. What I want to showcase here is the forge. The forge is going to be what we require to make useful stuff out of the ore that we find downstairs. So, to place down items, it's worth to know that items get placed in the direction that your character is facing. So don't waste your time looking for a rotate button. The rotate button is your character. So I'm placing down the furnace here, and, you know, a furnace is no fun without ore, so we better get some. I also want to do a quick showcase on the crafting guide here. This thing, if you right-click it and you drop anything inside that square, the crafting guide tells you what you can make out of it and which items are necessary for that. That's a really, really good tool that I keep in my pocket at all times during my travels because, you know, it's just that useful. So before we go downstairs, a couple of things really quick. Up here we have our health. If that goes to 0, we die, and whatever death condition we have set up will apply. Down here is our hunger. You can disable that mechanic if you'd want to. We have here our mini-map. You can zoom in or zoom out. I personally prefer it to have it tad bit more zoomed out, but it's up to you. And yeah, down here is the hotbar. We already know that. Well, let's get downstairs. So down here, if you press R, you can place down a torch, given that you have one. So the area down here is working very, very simple. Where it's dark, there be monsters. Where there's light, there be no monsters. And yeah, a steady supply of torches is extremely important. The wooden sword that you start with is enough to fight off whatever is going to be threatening you down here. And what we're mostly after now are those little storage containers that you see there. They are brim-filled with all manner of wonderful items, and they are low effort. So let's get in here. We found a copper bar. That's exactly the kind of stuff we want. We found a health potion. No need to have these in the hotbar either. Q is the quick hotkey for that, so you don't need to waste your precious slots there. Coins are later needed for the traders, and ammo, yeah, well, no, don't get me started about ammo. Ammo is a bit of a cluttery thing in this game. Here's another chest, and chests are always the stuff that we're also looking for. Oh, wait a sec. Mr. Zombie wants to have a talk, just hold down the left mouse button and you see how easy it is. The monsters here also drop a lot of resource when they die, and therefore this area here is really lucrative. And on the surface world, you cannot do much without exploring a little bit underground, so these two areas are very closely related to each other. Here I'm going to go and slay some monsters to have some free space for my personal looting here. Like I said, where there's light, there's no monster, so if you get ambushed during your looting, just spread your light radius a little bit wider and it should eventually stop. Okay, so that chest that we just uncovered is containing seeds. You only get access to new seeds basically either via traders in cities or via these chests underground. Therefore, they are really important to get looted. So I'm going to press here, loot all from inventory, so the whole chest gets emptied into my inventory. There's a lot of other useful hotkeys that the game has in store for you. So I'm going to cover these over the course of the time. I will keep things a little bit on the topic for today. You see, you might have noticed already there's so many extra options here, but I don't want to flood you with too many unnecessary informations. So the first thing that I'm doing here now is I'm spreading out my radius a little bit and making sure that there's light everywhere. And you might already have noticed that in the walls, those thingies, those are ores, of course, but I prefer to secure the perimeter first, you know, before I go looting. Alright, so here that bookshelf, doesn't look like one, but it is one, can also be right-clicked and looted. So what I want to strongly emphasize here is, in this game, every single item can be looted by striking it with a pickaxe. So you like those tables? Pick up those tables. If you have ever played Minecraft, you must be very familiar with this concept. Necesse doesn't have any concept of ownership, so if you see something in a village that you want to have, you are also free to pick it up. This is one thing that I personally love to do, especially in the early game, because, you know, this way you can roam around either in the underground and loot your furniture there, because sometimes you even find various crafting tables here, or you go to the neighboring villages and do the same there. It's up to you how you want to keep it. If theft is not fitting to your own kind of fluffy gameplay style, don't mind. It's your sandbox. Play it your way. We have found a couple of items that I'm sorting together here, and most importantly, we have found cabbage, which is food. And here's one thing that I want to already mention here. Food, as you see here, this stuff features combat regen for 4 minutes. This stuff features max health. So food in this game has various buffs. So just select it and left click. And as you see here, food buffs, they override each other. So it's either one or the other. You can't have both. Those bombs here, whenever you find them, they are so cool. I want to show you why. So if you are ought to mine out things, your wooden pickaxe, you know, wooden pickaxe sucks. But the next best thing, it will be an iron pickaxe, and it's going to be a while. Those bombs, well, you know, they are just awesome. But sadly, they are currently, as far as I know, you can't really farm them. You can't really craft them. I haven't found a recipe yet. Inform me if I'm wrong there. But in a nutshell, when you find bombs and you want to be lazy, it's a foolproof way to get stuff done real quickly. So, as you see here, we find now here 3 different types of ore: copper, iron, and gold. And they are different they are differing in power. Copper is the weakest metal, then comes iron, then comes gold. Yeah, I know, it's that kind of gaming logic again, where the soft metal is somehow superior. Whatever. But in a nutshell, you are looking in the very early stage of the game for those metals, because, you know, metal will make your gear a lot better, and you will find nothing really on the surface level that will make your gear substantially better. You will be looking for those nodes or for those veins of ore, and The other option that you can go for, of course, is you just hack and slay your way through it. As you see here, the monsters constantly drop ore as well, so if mining is not to your liking, you can go for that as well. If you ever find one of these areas, don't go closer to these before you have a ranged weapon. The spiders living in there are easier killable with ranged weapons. I mean, knock yourself out if you want to. If you want to make the combat with those giant spiders with melee. I personally didn't like it. That's why I didn't go for it. So, how you acquire your ores is up to you. I just want to mention here as well that these containers constantly spawn new torches. So you will have to create a kickstarting force of torches, but beyond that, you won't be needing... you'll be only creating them at the beginning, and then you'll stop, so to say. Alright, I'll cover that chest here real quick, and then I'm going to fast forward my video, because I will gather some ore off camera, so I can show you what we can do with that ore during this episode. But first, this room. So this is one treasure room. You will find many of those in your travels. And as you might already notice, there is a pressure plate. So you can now either go here and, oh, the goblin did already show us what happens if you go there. So you can now either go here and use your pickaxe to destroy the pressure plate. This way you can deactivate the trap. The pressure plate can then be placed down like that, or whatever you want to do, and the chest is safe. And these chests, they are really, really interesting because you already notice here, we found a trinket ability slot. Oh boy, and we are super lucky, we got one with sprint. So in a nutshell, these items are really, these chests are really, really cool because they always contain something more special, you know? All right. You will also find scrolls of recall. They will teleport you back to your village flag. Alright, that being said, I'm going to go through here and carve out some ore, and then I'm going to continue that video because, you know, it's not that exciting unless you're mining yourself. Alright, so funnily enough, I have found enough gold ore in this scenario to get the trip back. Basically, what you should be after, don't hound yourself for extreme amounts. What you are looking for is enough, or to get yourself either an iron pickaxe, because that has a pretty nice tool speed, or you ideally try to even get yourself a gold one, because that has even more tool damage. So either way, you are going to try yourself to get enough of that to create a tool in the first place. Don't go too wild there because, you know, it's all going to be faster as soon as you have a better tool. By the way, this is how clay looks like. You can have a lot of fun with clay as well. And if you press Control, you can turn smart mining on and off. If you suffer with hitting the right box in any scenario with that game, I found that a very, very useful tool to see where you're actually currently aiming to. So let's get upstairs and use the scroll of recall for that. Just select it and left click, and you're up here pronto. So let's get to the forge. The forge here is not creating anything for you except for bars. It also does need fuel, so if we don't have fuel, we're not going to get anywhere. I forgot that we require an anvil. My bad. I'm sorry, guys. So, I take back whatever I said. You should always try to get yourself enough iron together for this little fella here. 6 iron bars. That should be what you are after. 6 iron bars and enough metal to make yourself a tool. These are the things. Sorry about that. I knew I forgot something. So this place here, you see, it doesn't do anything without fuel. So we can put in the wood. Again, shift left click does the trick. The iron ore gets transformed into iron bars. I also found downstairs, where was it? The knockback potion. Here, broken iron tools. These can also be transformed into iron bars. So the ratios differ. As you see here, the broken iron tool is a 1-to-2 ratio. Here we have, I think, a 3-to-1 ratio. So it really differs from item to item. In this scenario, luckily, we have all we need to create ourselves an iron anvil. Quite often you can loot these also underground, so if you don't manage to get yourself one self-made, you can also go plunder downstairs until you find one. That's what I usually do. Or you go for plundering a city. There are methods, you know? It is a sandbox game after all. Okay, so now we're going to put the rest of the ores in here. The rest will be done automatically. It's always this slot is being served first and that slot afterwards. Alright, we got the necessary iron bars. Oh, wait a sec. Here, I want to have the necessary gold bars and not only the necessary iron bars. So if you right click the anvil now, you can process the bars that you got when you are looking for these items. As you see here, the costs are quite heavy. You need a lot of bars per item. Iron gear is a lot stronger than copper gear. Let's go in here into the crafting slot. But as I discovered recently, there is not much use for copper gear. I personally like to go for a low-cost suit of copper gear early on. You know, it's much weaker than iron, but hear me out on this one. If you check out what you can make out of iron, that's so many more things. From furniture, to weapons, to tools, to gear. There's so much more that you can do with that stuff. And, you know, gold and copper, they don't have that many usages. Of course, if you have as much gold as I got here, you can also consider making yourself your first suit of gear out of gold. It's up to you. I don't want to talk too heavy on you in that regard. Like I keep saying, this is a sandbox game, but I personally think that getting yourself access to metal gear as quick as possible is something that only increases the fun in the game. Speaking about fun, I want to show you something else which is fun. Let's get on over to that chest and dump those iron bars in there that we found. And the beautiful part is when we step now over to the anvil, there's this use nearby inventory thing. So in a nutshell, all which is inside that white grid here is accessible. So we don't have to have items in our inventory. We just can dump things in here. Later, we will even be able to automate that even further, but not yet. So what we're going to go for, or what I like to go for, is first off the golden pickaxe. Like I said, it's just so much of a quality of life thing for me. And after that, well, the forge will have to work a little bit longer. During nighttime, I strongly recommend you to just slap yourself into that bed and sleep until the dawn of day. Because during the night, it just works like downstairs. Where there's darkness, there's monsters. Where there's light, there's no monsters. So if you want to farm monsters, nighttime is the time to be. So as you see here, there's also numbers popping up because our Gramps outside is fighting. But he's so powerful, you don't need to worry about Gramps. What's also worth noting is that this thing here worked through during the night. So if you want to get stuff done, put it into the smelter before you're heading off to bed. Alright, so here we can now create ourselves, let's see. Could create ourselves a stronger sword. Well, let's do that. It's your situation will be, of course, a little bit different from mine. I'm going to start out with these items. So, there we go. Oh, whoopsie, that's cosmetic slots. That's not what I meant to do. Oh, whatever. Alright, so, where were we? Good, we got that, we got that, we got that. So the golden sword is a lot stronger than the stuff that we had before, and the armor we got will carry us well through everything down here. So combat is now pretty much even more a breeze than before. And as you see here, mining is now also a lot faster. Oh, that's these guys. If you ever manage to smack one of them, it's pretty good. They carry a lot of gold. That's, by the way, where most of the gold came from that I got right now. So, spider area, like I said, for now we're going to avoid that. What we're looking for now is a graveyard. You can go for a graveyard also before you got yourself a first suit of gear, but I'd strongly suggest you not to. This, by the way, is a pretty nasty trap. Spider's already roaming. Oh, there's the big one. So, this is, by the way, how iron ore looks like. I'd strongly suggest you to pick it up, but we're currently not going to. Also, what you might notice here, this game has a terrible amount of potions. We're going to have a ways and means to store that stuff, don't you worry. But just not yet. Eating some cabbage with battle regeneration capabilities. I like that because this way we heal. Keep in mind that healing is without any extra effects. No standard thing in this game. Here we go. Always keep an eye out for chests. They are where really, really interesting loot is at. And this game is pretty loot heavy, so you better be giving yourself a base time from every now and then. There we go. It's also pretty okay to just loot things now and sift them through later. It's totally fine. Alright, I'm going to continue my explorations until I've found a graveyard. Now that's what we've been looking for. It actually took me a while. I've been wheezing around here, and I just wanted to point out that this thing here is the entire downstairs area, and this is the graveyard that we're looking for. So we're going to punch a hole in that wall. The vampires here are ranged attackers. They are quite nasty, and personally for me, always the reason why I want to have some sort of gear before I get here, because these guys are the first actual ranged attackers, and they also transform into relatively fast-moving bats. So after a while, they don't feel that dangerous anymore. But the first time, they really got me quite hard. So we went in here because those coffins. First off, we find bat wings here. Bat wings are one type of reward, but we're actually looking for something. Well, that's a cool one. Trinket here with movement speed. No, but that's not what we were looking for. You can and will loot the weapon of these vampires eventually. Well, if you are unlucky, you don't find it in the first graveyard, just like I am here, unlucky. So, yeah. Basically, it's a bouncing blood projectile that seeks out its enemies, and by the beginning of the next episode, I will have one for myself. You should really try to get yourself one, because you can either go for the bows, that's one option, but I personally am not much of a big fan of the bows, because they got ammo, and I love ranged weapons without any ammo issues. But of course, it's up to you. I just wanted to point out the vampires out of two reasons. First off, they are gold for that quest if you have that Fake Fangs quest, and second off, you can get some valuable materials there and this ranged attack thing. I'm going to go over these things in the next episode more in detail, because this is going to be the end of the first episode. This is enough to get you on your feet. You can now go and grab yourself as many materials as you want to, or do however you want to do these things. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the ride. We're going to continue next episode with the first starts of base building and the like. And also, I'm going to get myself into boss combats there. So if you want to get this, if you want to get into this, this is going to be on the next episode. So, if you want to see other topics covered in the next episode, leave me a comment down below and I'll see what I can do. Until then, leave me a thumbs up on that video if you enjoyed. These things are very, very helpful. And of course, consider subscribing. This is another way of helping out this channel for no money at all. And of course, check out the description box down there. There's plenty of links to my Discord server if you want to hang out and ask questions or whatever. There's lots of like-minded gamers there. Check out the link to Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee, and be one of those wonderful supporters that keep this channel even more alive than it already is. Or just get my thanks for watching this video until the very end, which means a terrible lot to me, and I hope you're coming back for the next one as well. See you there, and have a wonderful day.